What's going on, beautiful J4 family and community? Tonight we are on a chill vibe. Oh, on YouTube streaming, slipping already. What's going on, beautiful family? Thank you for joining me on a Friday. I posted yesterday. It's very seldom that I go back to back, but hey, it's Friday. I'm not an in the streets kind of guy. It's the weekend, and so I just wanted to kind of get on and really try to see if I can manifest what my intent is, which is to meet some parents who are raising beautiful biracial kids, mulatto kids, mixed kids, whatever the case may be, and to learn a little something from them, possibly be a sounding board as someone who is a father of 6 children who appear to be biracial. They're very light-skinned kids, about my complexion. They have the phenotypes of biracial kids, all the hair dynamics and braids and fades and curly hair, all that kind of stuff. And they range from 18 to 33. One is married. Several of them are in relationships. All of them have some kind of college. They're good little dudes and good women. Good women and good young men and young women. And so today I just want to kind of be patient. I want to be patient. I see that we have one in here, which is understandable. It's a Friday. If you're young, you should be out in them streets, meeting people, practicing healthy behaviors, but socializing nonetheless. That's important. I can only imagine that COVID sat a lot of people down and a lot of people didn't get up. You know, they just kind of are caught in a routine, and this technological space is entertainment enough, and maybe they just haven't found the rhythm of engaging life. You know, I was a club guy when I was coming up. You know, when I was single in college or even high school, man. You know, I look forward to going to the teen club in college. You know, we had different events and activities that we would go to, and it was very much destiny based. You know, on Thursday we had a spot, Friday we had a spot, Saturday we had a spot, Monday we had a spot. But today's young people don't seem to do that. You know, my oldest daughter, she's an academic. You know, she's a doctor and kind of spend a lot of time in the books and kind of had, you know, boyfriends. She's married now, just recently got married. And then my oldest boy, he's an artist, but he doesn't go out. You know, he hits the scene every now and then, but he does that kind of in concert with his lady. And then my robotics engineer, he's a hermit. He's a stay in the house kind of guy. So I have to try to boot him out. I tried to get him to get on one of these dating apps, you know, get out there and meet the world. He's a handsome dude. He's just kind of to himself, you know. And then my most gregarious son, he's kind of get out there kind of guy. He likes to get out there and mingle. And then my youngest son is the leadership type. He's involved in everything, you know, president of this, president of that. And so he gets his social connect by doing and being a part of organizations. And then my baby girl, she likes to be out, but then she don't like to be around people. So it's kind of interesting. So let me see who's in here. We got Magic Mulata saying hello. Hey, Magic Mulata. Abby Mafioso is in the house. Hey, I'm not a parent, but want to show my support for your amazing conversations. Thank you so much, Abby. I truly appreciate that. The dating app. Right. Today, I don't have an agenda. Normally, I got my notes. I got my graphs. It's not just like the bottom of that scroll is saying Friday vibing, right? I just want to maybe get to meet you guys. You know, I'd like to drop the link sooner than later and maybe just begin to have a conversation. It's my hopes that there's someone in the clouds, someone in the looking in, and maybe they're a parent. Maybe they're a white mom of a biracial child or a dad of a biracial child, and they just haven't quite broken the ice of putting a comment or something about themselves. I'd just love to learn from you, right? You know, I got married 27 years ago, and so I don't quite know what it's like to raise a child. All my children are above 18, so I'd like to understand how today's child rearing process is going. Certainly would like to understand the nuances a parent may contend with if they're raising a beautiful biracial child. I'd like to know what's working well for you, and then also maybe what are some challenges that we collectively as a community can offer collective insight. As I always say, I don't profess expertise, I profess life lived. And that's ultimately what I want this channel to be about, is to be a relevant, informative, interactive space with parents of biracial children and biracial children who are coming of age, and or Black children coming of age, or hell, white folks, whatever the case may be. But sometimes, not sometimes, but we're in a new era. The number of biracial kids, monoracial kids, mulatto kids, the numbers are just so vastly larger than when I was coming of age. And in many ways, that's a good thing for biracial children, because it's the more young people there are, the more opportunities for community, right? More opportunities for community. And that's critically important. It's two people out there sometimes. I agree with your daughter. Yeah, she loves to be around people. She wants to be on the scene. She wants to be in the mix, but she doesn't want to be around people. My baby girl, she's attending an historically Black college. She's a volleyball player, so we're very proud of her. But she went from, I guess, diverse environment, small school, to completely across the country to an HBCU, and we're proud of her because she said, I'm going to get myself a full ride to an HBCU. And lo and behold, that baby girl did it. Man, she has fortitude, and just kind of, when she focuses, she can be scattered, scares the hell out of me at times. It's way different raising boys than girls. But when she puts her mind to it and locks in and doesn't self-doubt or talk herself out of opportunities, she achieves it. So we're proud of what she's doing. And there's some let go. Parents, at some point you got to psychologically let go. You never emotionally let go, and you never step so far back that you're not an immediate resource. But it was a moment, where her mother and I, and knew she had got accepted. We went down for a visit, a tour, and it's a different space, man. It's a different vibe, different part of the country, different amenities and facilities. But sometimes you have to let them go and trust that you raised them to be good decision makers, that they will emulate the values that were established in the home. And sometimes you have to let them go, but always be an ear, so that when they reach out and say, hey, daddy, hey, mama, I need something. She calls her mom for whatever they talk about. She calls me for money. She calls me for money. I'm going to send you a direct message on Facebook later. Keep an eye out. Okay. Are we on Facebook? Well, if we are, beautiful. If not, I'll drop my email in case you want to send that to it. Magic Mulatto, how you doing? You want to come up and maybe join a parent conversation with me? I'm going to drop the link. Again, y'all, no sensationalism today. No attempts at anything. It's just a Friday vibe. If we go 10 minutes, we go 10 minutes. If we go 30 minutes, we'll go 30 minutes. No problem. So, Magic Mulatto. All right, I'm going to bring you in. There's the link. Again, I just kind of want to talk parent to parent. I understand you're a parent. I think you had 3 children. I may be misrepresenting that. But I want to get a sense from the younger generation. How's the world going? Yeah, you saw a link, Abby, to, I think that's the J4 page. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll get a message there, but the email would be the easiest. Did I put the email up? Let me just throw that up there. There it is. All right, for those of y'all in the cloud, welcome. Today is I want to go slow. I want to give folks a chance to come in should you have a desire. I promise you, this is not a gotcha space. I promise you, this is not a preachy space. I promise you that I'm not going to let nobody get up in here and start throwing jabs. My main thing is that I know there's a mama out there, a daddy out there who, is raising their children with certain varying levels of confidence. I remember my first child, when we would take them to the urgent care almost every other week. We just didn't know. Like, God dang, what's that mean? What does that sound? What is that rash? By the time I got to my third child, their arm would have to be dangling before I even thought about taking them to the to the uh to the emergency care. All right, Magic Mulata, how are you doing,
Right.
sister?
How you doing? You can hear me?
I can hear you well. I am
All right.
vibing on a Friday. Thank you so much for coming up.
Whew.
What
Let's
are you
talk
doing
about it.
yeah, what are you doing on a
Hey,
Friday hanging out
it's my
on
off
these
day.
YouTube?
I'm chilling. I'm having a good
Okay.
time chilling. I was cleaning at my house, with my kids. It was my son's birthday yesterday,
Well, happy
and
birthday
yeah,
to the young man. Now, how many children do you
let's.
have, if I may
I got
ask?
three. I got three. So I got a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and she about to be 4. So I got little
Wow.
kids. I had my first one
I'm the
in 20.
7-year-old.
Yeah, he's a 7-year-old. You heard him?
What's what's going on, 7 year old representing?
Yeah.
Well, that's good that you had them all close together,
Oh, it's been rough. Let's keep it real. Okay.
huh?
It's been rough. Okay. Like I'll talk about my little parenting journey. So I had him young, right? I was like 20. I met my husband. We were at work. I was working at Waffle House, right? We were working at Waffle
Okay.
House. And I was a waitress, and he was a cook, right? He used to cook there in Atlanta. We used to live in Atlanta, and yeah, he was like 27. I'm like 20, and it was like love at first sight. Okay, I was like, oh
All
my
right.
god, this is the one, right? This is my man right here. Like I looked at him, I was like, this is my man. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get married to him. Did all of that, so I already was like, this is my man. And then it moved along fast. We'll say that it moved along pretty fast, and I got pregnant pretty
Okay.
fast. Like I met him in September, and I was pregnant in January, so I got it fast, right? So
So hold on. You met in December and you got pregnant in
no, no,
January?
no, 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 no. I met in September. September. So like
September.
September, October, November. Like it was pretty fast. It was like
Okay.
okay. So that's
Okay.
what happened, and I got pregnant,
You-
and I was not ready. I was like no, because I had in my head I was like, oh, I want to have my career together. I need to get a car. I didn't have nothing. Like I was not like I was 20 years old. Like I don't got nothing, right? I just in my head I wanted to. So guess what? He talked me out of an abortion. I was gonna get an abortion, and he talked me out of it. He
um,
started like crying, breaking down, like don't have my don't. So all of that, right? So I have my child, and it was a lot that goes to it. So my kid, we're both biracial, right? Both
okay.
I'm biracial, he's biracial. So my son, I thought he would come out like my skin tone. He came out very like white passing. So that was a
Ah.
whole that I noticed that happens a lot with biracials. I'm online a lot now, and like they have a lot of like white passing kids a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Because
Now,
you know
now,
how I
now,
don't know.
Magic. Let me jump. I'm gonna
Hmm.
stop you a few times just so we can dig in a little bit.
Yeah,
So let's back up. So you met this handsome gentleman,
yeah.
um, and then you got pregnant pretty early in the relationship.
Yeah, and it
So,
was a struggle. We were not financially ready whatsoever
but now
at all.
what did your parents or his parents have anything to say about it? Were they
So
throwing
his
parental
parents,
advice at
both of
you?
his parents are like deceased, right? So the
Ah,
only
okay.
grandparent, my dad, he's passed away too. So the only grandparent they have is my mom, and she's a blessing. She's an angel. She's amazing.
Okay.
She's like the best grandmother in the world I could ever ask for. So that's the only
Beautiful.
grandparent they have. But I make sure they have a really close relationship. Like they're very close because that's their only grandparent, right?
Right. Right.
So she was actually very, very extremely supportive of us, very much so. Because, my sister got pregnant young too. My sister was like 17 when she got pregnant, and they were very supportive. And, I was 21 when I gave birth.
Mm-hmm.
But his side of the family could kind of, because we were living with them at the time, right? And then I got pregnant and they kicked us out. They're like, oh, you got to go. they were like, they
Mm.
were not having it. They didn't want
They're
nothing
like,
to do
okay.
with
They're
us.
like, okay. They're like, you got to
Yeah,
bounce.
yeah, they didn't want nothing to do with us. Like after I got pregnant, like because it was his side of the family was like they didn't really want to have nothing to do with us. They didn't really like us. They didn't really like us. They tried to break us up. It was a mess. It was messy, right? It was real messy.
Now,
So
did you
mhm.
intend to? Were you purposely looking for a biracial person like yourself, or
No,
did it just
no,
happen?
it just happened. It just kind of happened. He was just handsome.
He was a handsome
he's
man. I
handsome.
feel you.
He
I
was
feel you.
handsome. Yeah, he's good
Now,
looking. So yeah,
did you have dating preferences before you
the
before?
guy I was dating before was like a Latino guy.
Okay. Okay.
It was Latino. Yeah.
All right. So you and handsome man, he's over there throwing down in the fire. You're doing your thing, and y'all catch eyes and like, oh boy. And then y'all have
Yeah.
your first beautiful baby that's sort of white presenting. Now, by white presenting, are you talking about straight hair, What are you
No,
talking
like white skin. Like he's like very
about?
like white, pale. Like you know how me and my husband are kind of like he's a little darker than me actually. So it's kind
Okay.
of shocking. I was like, whoa. And yeah, so that was the thing. But now I realize that's a normal thing with like mixed people because they could come out any kind of way. But I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
I was black identifying at the time. I was like, I'm black. And then I have like a son that looks white. And it was like, whoa, it was crazy. But it was like, it made me kind of have to accept my white side. You know what I'm saying?
Because
Because
your
at the
baby
time
was
I rejected
so
it. Yeah,
light.
at the time, exactly. At the time I rejected it. I was like, I can't. I'm not white. I'm black and I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
But then we both identified as black, but then we have like a white, and it was just, yeah. So that was the thing, but it was a struggle. Like it was a struggle because I stopped working. I didn't plan on stop working because he don't make enough money working at Waffle House. Like he's not making a lot of money.
Right.
And we were staying in like a rooming home, like because we got kicked out, right? So
Mm.
we had to go, and he had a bad credit already. Like he had an eviction, right? I'm just spilling all my business. It's
Well, yeah,
fine.
yeah, and remember, this is gonna be out there in the ether. This
Yeah.
is gonna be out there in the YouTube street. So say only what you want to say, and if I ask something, say I don't want to say that. Get up out my
No,
business,
I'll
man.
just keep it real though. Oh, wait, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to
So
keep it real about like my parenting journey because I just it's just it's like the reality versus like the because you hear all the advice and like, oh, this is what and it's like this fluffy like, oh, like, but it's not reality when it comes to like parenting. Like it's like just like the stuff that there's so many great things. Like I loved it. Like I think sometimes we focus too much on the negative, or it's like they try to paint like this picture that's not reality.
mm-hmm.
So it's like I like to, because I've had, oh my god, like I love being a parent as well, because I thought going into it, you hear it's going to ruin your life, it's horrible, but it actually was amazing and wonderful despite the struggles. I think the positive outweigh the negatives. I really do think that.
So let's spin off that. Let's spin off that.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the most positive because I'm gonna stay in parenting lane. I'm not a marriage input kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The what has been the most rewarding
Just that
as a
sense of
mother?
family. Like we're
Mm,
always like we're very we're always active, like going out to like we used to go to the children's museum all the time, like
mm-hmm.
exposing the kids to like different things. I love reading them, just teaching them. Like I feel like so happy. Like I just love it. I love it. I really do. I love it, but I have my struggles that I wanted to like express and open up about, especially like but we're doing really good now. Like I was just talking about my past, but right now I'm doing good. Like we're doing fine. But in the
Wonderful.
beginning, it was a struggle. It was like, oh my god, like I
With
used to like,
the finances,
yeah, I
the
used to beat
demands of the
myself up a lot,
baby.
like postpartum
Mm-hmm.
depression.
Mm,
And we did have a lot of support. Actually I did. Like it wasn't from direct family, but it was from people who were around me that were very supportive. So grateful for them. Shout out to, they were amazing. I loved it. I was in Atlanta at the time, so yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
so let's pause there and see if we can extrapolate some lessons from Magic Mulata's beautiful journey. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you join with another human being, at varying ages. Sometimes they say the younger the better because then you build, a life together before, experiencing sort of too many different things. But
Aw.
you're talking about, what helped you was this family support, right? This
Mm-hmm.
this extended family, and the one thing for parents, you certainly can have your children in isolation, like meaning you
Mm-hmm.
live in another town, another city, and there's really no family support. Or in a part of your parental conversations is you want to think about, hey, who are our go-to people? Who can lend us advice? Who can lend us
Mm-hmm.
time? Who can we drop these
That
babies
support
off for
system is
support?
everything.
You know,
Everything.
one,
I'm just reading
what,
the comments just now. Oh,
what is a
sorry.
no? What
I'm
is a
looking at Abby. Abby bought my son a pancake maker. She did. Shout out to you, Abby. That was very sweet. I appreciated that.
That's
That
beautiful.
was really cute. Yeah.
One thing that my wife and I did was when we had three children, the cost of daycare just didn't make any sense. So she
Exactly.
stopped
Thank
working.
you. Same.
Um, and
Same.
then, so my mother in law was in Houston, and she would fly in pretty periodically. But at some point, we said, hey, I want you to consider moving here to where we're at, and let's create a three-generational family. And so my
Mm-hmm.
mother-in-law lived with us for about 10 years, and that was invaluable because she was able to provide really a third generation perspective, sense of care and
Yeah.
love. But even if your parents aren't living in the house, not saying I
No,
recommend that.
that's exactly what I did. That's
uh,
exactly because
Talk
we
to
had
them.
our own apartment. We had our own apartment when I was in Atlanta. It was me, a newborn, two little toddlers. I was going crazy, like insane. Because he would go to work, I'd be with the kids, and I was like, I can't do it. So my mom ended moving back up here, where I'm at. I live in Washington State, right? So I moved back up here, and my sister, they were staying together, right? Because and then they're like, oh, we should all move together. We can all help each other out. You can help with the kids, and we can help with finances. So it's like a multi. Because I actually learned that from the Latino family. Because I used to
Hmm.
live with like my ex boyfriend. He was Latino. They all did that. They all like came together and shared. It was a multi generational home. So I'm like, why don't we do that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because my
Yeah,
mom. Yeah, I'm like, that's such a smart idea. We're all sharing. We're not have to stress about finances. We all helping with the kids. So that's exactly what my family did, and it's just wonderful. I wouldn't have it any other way. I feel like it's just
that,
fairly,
that,
it's good.
that's a
Yeah.
great, that's a great lesson. Assuming
Hmm.
you have the disposition, assuming there's respect and clarity about
Exactly. It's just
boundaries.
healthy. We worked a lot on that with my sister and my, because me and my sister used to fight a lot. But we did come to like communication skills and stuff, and having to have so we can have a healthy household and not be all toxic. So it works if it's a healthy household and people can communicate and people could. Yeah, that's why I'm big on the whole like no drama stuff, because I just know what it's like to live in like a toxic household, because
Hmm.
and be in a toxic relationship. But I know you could heal from that. I know you could.
Yep. All right. So you talked about the joy of family, which I would echo. Memories are built around, subtle moments as well as highly planned moments. We just got back as a family from Puerto Rico, and those are indelible memories that we'll forever have, right? But even as young
Mhm.
families, maybe your economics aren't quite there, but just like you talked about, trips to the museum, going
There's
to
a lot
free
of things you could
concerts.
do.
A
Yeah,
part of
that's the
building
fun part.
family
I love it.
memories is the doing. Yeah. A part of
Mhm.
building memories is the doing. All right. So you talked
Exactly.
about some of the joys. What have been some of the challenges?
Oof.
You know,
Oof. Like I
if you,
said, me and my husband, we were very toxic at one time. Like
mm,
we didn't know how to, because I was unhealed from all of my childhood wounds and childhood issues, and I would be triggered and overreact to things that he would do and say, and but it took me upon myself to really look at myself and be like, why am I reacting this way? Like it don't even make sense. Like hit like an emotional wound or something, and it would just spiral out of control. So I had to sit back and look at myself and use I use a lot of like free resources online so I could get tools and stuff. So because it's like I don't know, I believe what Steph Curry and Aisha Curry, they said that too. It's like you really gotta put your marriage first, because if you have a healthy marriage, your kids are gonna be in a healthy environment. And I believe what
mm-hmm,
they said is right. Yeah, because if you're always putting, of course you gotta make sure you take care of of course, but it's like if you're always putting your kids first and you're neglecting your marriage could fall apart, and then like that's gonna break apart the family, right? So
mm-hmm.
I kind of believe in what they said, to keep a marriage and making sure the connection between me and my husband is good, because when that's because we actually did break up at one time.
Mm-hmm.
We did, but we got back
Many,
together.
yeah, many early marriages do. Many
Yeah,
do.
we did,
So,
because
so,
yeah.
so Milan, how are you intentional, or are you intentional about
See,
literally setting time together?
that's something I need to do better with. Like I love what you said about it being intentional. you know I do want to be more intentional about, like, especially when it comes to raising my kids. Like, I want to set the intention. Like, my sons are like really smart. I want to set the intention that they're utilizing their intelligence in the correct way, because you can utilize your intelligence in the wrong way and it can hurt you, right? So I do want to
Mm-hmm.
just be more intentional with my kids, because yeah, I do want to make sure that, because it's for me, this is my struggle too. For me, it's like I'm using this as like a therapy. I don't know.
So tell me about it. What does that make you think of?
Right? I don't need to do that, but just opening up about parenting. But I do need to I got to
Well,
do better with like screen
let's
time and shit stuff. Like that's the challenge nowadays. The screen time stuff. Oof. It's addicting. So that's the biggest challenge. I don't know if you guys faced that back in the day. It was like TVs and stuff, but you didn't have like endless content. So that's the
yeah.
challenge nowadays.
Let's talk about it. And for beautiful folks
Hmm.
joining in, thank you guys so much. Right now, we're just vibing on a Friday. We're talking to Magic Mulatto, who is a parent herself, and I'm wanting to kind of meet some parents, get a sense of the joys of your experiences, some of the challenges, and then if there's anything correlated specifically to your beautiful biracial children, I'd love to maybe process that out with you, should you be willing. If anything, though, let me know who you are. Right, love to introduce a new
Come on up, parents.
avatar
Yes.
or name to the chat here. All right, so you were talking about time with your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I found early on in my relationship, the dinner table was perhaps one of the most intentional ways to create time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Dinner table. Yep.
yeah, I call it the classroom of the house. But the one thing I was adamant about, unless something, I had to work late or she had a commitment with school or something like that, that at least 5 days out of a week, we would eat dinner, even if we went to
Mm-hmm.
get some fast food or a restaurant, but intentionally have some dinner and then slow it down, have some playtime around the dinner, depending on the age. But the dinner table, y'all, is if you can protect that, it will have long-term benefit to your family. And then I would
Mm-hmm.
just ask each other, hey, here's our day. When can we have at least 30 minutes, at least being in the same room? Maybe we're watching a
Mm-hmm.
TV show. Maybe we're looking at each other, chopping and vibing. Maybe we take a walk around the neighborhood. Maybe we take a drive, whatever the case may be. But we're going to try to do something where it's just us. And if you have babies, they're probably crashing around 8:30, whatever the case may be. So you should have some time. But to Malata's point, you got to be intentional, yo. You got to be intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's something I started doing. I took your advice. I did. Okay, so it was cute. My
What'd you do?
husband, he
Tell
like
me.
cooked. He cooked and he like set out the dinner all cute, and then we all like were, or, it was everybody, my mom, everybody were sitting at the table. And I was thinking about you. I was like, this is exactly what J4 said we should. It felt good because I was like, let me pass on some wisdom to my kids, and I was like, the best thing you can do in life is just be grateful for what you have in life, right? So that's what I told my
Hmm.
kids at the dinner table, and I hope they take that with them in life because I think that
Yeah.
is an important life lesson. But yeah, I
Do
like what Abby
you?
said. She said, I told you about cultural yeah, I want to take my kid, like there's a Hawaiian festival I want to take them to. That'd be fun.
Hmm.
I love that. And sit down dinners help with communication. Absolutely. So yeah, I love
Reggae.
the dinner.
Yeah, reggae festivals. I lost one of my kids at a reggae
Yeah.
festival, so
No way.
we have a scarred memory there. So at that point we had,
No.
I think we had four at that time,
Yo,
and
that's a lot to
I was
keep up with.
yeah, I was with
Oof.
one of my peoples, and I
Mhm.
had one in my arm. I think I had one in my arm, two in my arm. My wife had one, and then
Mhm.
my other son, I could see him, but he was walking towards my boy. So I figured psychologically that was connected, right? And so
Mhm.
we went about gathering the stuff, and all of a sudden, my wife's like, where's the boy? Where's the meal?" And we're like, "What?"
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, the whole park just slows down, and I'm in full slow motion mode, and I'm scanning the crowd, and
Mhm.
I'm looking right, and my wife is starting to hyperventilate. She's starting to freak out, and
Mm-mm-mm.
she's starting to get frantic, right? But then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, we hear on the microphone, we have a 4-year-old child up here, and my wife just takes off, and she
Mhm.
runs full speed
That's
to
so
the stage
scary.
and
Oh,
collapses. I mean, we laugh about it now, but no,
that is so
uh,
scary.
reggae festivals are also cool, but for the Joneses, we have a scarred memory. But you're right. To your point, to Abby's point, get whatever cultural paper there is or website, and you'd be surprised. Most cities have a pretty robust offering of free activities for families or low cost.
Yeah, I remember me and my husband at one time. We were like, we should just get them the little leash. Like, I don't care if people make fun of us. You know how people used to crack jokes about, oh, this is why white people kids go crazy because they keep it on a leash like a German Shepherd. That's why I was like, I don't even care. I see why they do that because my kids would be all over the place running around. I was like, I just wish I could. If I would have got the leash, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't even care if people make fun of me. I don't even care as long as my kids are safe. I don't even care what y'all think. So I
Hmm.
was considering doing that at one time, but I never did it, but yeah, I had those experiences too. My kids run this way and the other one runs this way. It was
Hmm.
so stressful. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, those are the
Yeah. So,
challenges of multiple kids.
hmm
Did you
yeah,
ever
all of
have
them
you ever forgot
toddlers at once.
have you ever forgot one of them in the car? Don't tell nobody.
No, thank God.
Oh, oh,
No,
don't tell nobody. But I've done
no,
it.
no way. It wasn't a hot day because I'm so those like hot summer day stories are like beating into
No,
my
yeah,
brain, and I'm
nothing
like,
like that.
oof.
Nothing like that. But it's because we had six. I mean, it was just trying to keep
It's a
up with
lot.
them. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. But now,
Mm-hmm.
do you have you obviously you're a mulatto advocate. Are you and your
Hmm.
husband having these conversations? Are you doing something
Yes, we're
intentional?
talking about it. Yep, we're talking about it. You know what we talk about? Okay, because my husband, he was born in like '87, so he's more solidified in his like black identity. He's more black because he grew up in like the black community. Like moving out here at like 30 something, it was his first time being around white people, right? He's never met
Mm,
his dad, so he does not know his white side whatsoever. Like it's not a thing, right? So with him, I'm like, I think he's I don't know, when it comes to him, I'm not sure because I think he's supportive. Actually, at first he was kind of like, "Why do y'all light skins?" Like he was telling us, "Oh, y'all are just crying about being light." He kind of misunderstood everything because he was like, "Oh, these light skin groups and y'all just
right.
crying about being light skinned. What's the issue?" But it's like, but I think he understands now. It's not about just being light skinned. It's not that. But when it comes to my kids and stuff, I make sure they know, like they know what they're biracial. They know that they're white and black. They know, like I call them. I even use the word mulatto a lot, and I say, hey, I want you to love and embrace both sides, especially it's Black History Month, right? So of course they're gonna be MLK. I taught them about like MLK and things like that, and just knowing you have a really, I think, is you're biracial, you're mixed, you have a very rich vast history because it's not
Hmm.
just one lineage. Like you have all this amazing, and I teach them to make sure that you're really proud of who you are, and just know
Hmm.
you got to stand proud. And this is something I struggle with my husband because my husband kind of did have that. His mom. It's funny. My husband's mom was a Black Panther, right? But he's
Okay.
half white.
Your
Mom
husband's mom. Okay. All right.
was a Black Panther in like the
All right.
70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up being, so he kind of had that mentality, like distrust towards white people. Like I don't really fuck with you. I don't really mess with y'all white people. So I think that's something where I'm trying to get him out of, like that's why I did those interviews with, like, I want us to, like, biracial people. I know we struggle with accepting our white side because there's this horrible history between white and Black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'm trying to overcome with him. Like, hey, you don't have to dislike these people. You could, I want them, I want have that inner peace. I do want him to. That's his own journey, though. Of course, that's his own. But I do try to discourage anytime he brings up like white people in like a negative way, because our son looks white. So I'm like, no, you can't do that. I don't want my son to like have those
Mm-hmm.
type of things, instilled
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
him, right?
Yeah.
So
That's always a
mm,
delicate thing.
that's
Again,
right.
it's obvious. I've stated many a times I'm black identifying. So in
Mm-hmm.
my household, we certainly had candid conversations, some rooted in facts, some rooted in playful banter and emotion, where we did talk candidly about whiteness on whole, right? But they had they have a white side of their family, or at least a French side, and
Mm-hmm.
I found that they can make connection to relatives, right, to love
Mm-hmm.
sources, while at the same time disassociating. Maybe there's disagreement here, but disassociating membership. In fact, that's why I think most biracials are either biracial or black identifying, and very few are white identifying,
Yeah.
because of the to grow up in America and to be of culture is to feel some kind of way about the white narrative and the white story.
Right.
So, but it is delicate. It is delicate. Let me ask answer Abby's question. Is your wife Puerto Rican? Were you visiting family on your vacation? No, we just had always wanted to go to Puerto Rico. It felt like a biracial country, though. I'll tell you that. I'd recommend it that you go just so you can experience what it means to be among the majority, at least aesthetically. But no, my wife's a black woman out of Houston. So we met when I was in Texas for a period of time, but no, not Puerto Rican. I
Wow.
cut you off,
Mhm.
Abby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cut you off, Magic.
Oh no, you're fine. No, you're good.
So let me. So you're talking about, you're normalizing language.
Mm-hmm.
How do you how do you sort of teach them or influence them when you yourself may perhaps have had some negative experiences in monoracial black? I'm assuming. I don't know.
So I'm a like I teach them that there's bad people of all races, right? And there's
Mm-hmm.
good people of all races. It's like I really want you to recognize the bad of all races, and it's like having a balanced mindset. I don't want you to have a, because I've had bad experience with people of all races I've
Right.
encountered, right?
Right.
So I want them to just know that if you have a bad negative experience. I think kids already know this, you know, like if this kid has a bad experience with like a girl, like they've been to school, like preschool, they don't generalize groups, you know what I'm saying? Kids don't do
Mm-hmm.
that. Kids do not.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I just got to make sure I don't like kids already naturally know like a lot of stuff. I just don't want
Mm-hmm.
to like interfere with that and teach them something that, you know what I'm saying? Like if I teach, like I do want them to make sure like forgiveness is a big practice. If you do encounter somebody who's done you wrong or treated you dirty, like learn how to forgive and heal and move on, so you don't try to, you know, have some sort of stigma or something towards this person and what they in the group or whatever, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal, because you know we've all been there, like we've all been there, we've been hurt or felt had this narrative towards this type of group or this group. Especially, and it hurts us more as biracial people because we're half, you know. I don't want, that's the struggle too. About I want to talk. I want more parents of biracial people to come up. Where are y'all at? Where are
Yeah,
y'all at? Okay,
we'll get there. In
because
fact, I'll ask you
I
one
want
more
them.
question. Yeah. No,
Hmm.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, because I want them to really realize that it's struggle. The main struggle to me of being like a biracial person is how, you know, the white people, they could have a negative outlook on black people, and then black people have such a negative outlet on white people, and
Mm.
you could internalize that. You could be like, well, you know, you could internalize that inner struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I think it's just all about us changing the narratives, because within every group there's going to be people who are hateful, and within a group you could find people who are loving and kind. That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, like how can we fit in with both sides, and making
Mm.
sure we're around people who are loving and accepting, and not people who are hateful and unaccepting of us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I want us to be at, being around, because that's the reality we live in. We don't have our own community. Like we talk about that, like it'd be nice, like, oh yeah, we all just had our own, you know, they did in like Louisiana Creole, but most of us don't live. Most of us like are all over the place, right? So we're gonna have to interact with um all different people. We don't have our own. It's very rare for us to see another biracial person, basically. You know what
Well,
I'm saying? Unless you're.
let's play with that a little bit. So, my dad is born in New Orleans.
Oh,
He grew
really?
yeah he
That's
grew up
where I
in the
want to go.
third ward and in the Lafitte projects. So
Hmm.
he's Creole 100. And
That's awesome.
but in terms of your thought about community, when back in the day when one said I want to go around biracial folks, or you know, I have that need, the destiny was Louisiana. The destiny
I
was
want
New
to
Orleans
go. I would. I
in
had no
particular.
idea what it's like to be like the majority, like you said. Like,
Well, it's
that's a
not the
different
majority. It's
experience.
not the majority. Louisiana, from we took a father son trip there in the summertime, and there certainly are Creole presenting people, but you know, New Orleans for the largest part is monoracially black. But
Mhm.
given its history, there is pockets of Creole, and then Creole are also not just biracial. Creole can also be monoracial, black or white passe appearing human beings. Um, but to the point of destination. So today at 6:30, I decide I'm gonna go live on a chill vibe Friday, and I put out there biracial parent, and now I'm looking at very familiar names. This is a destination, not J4, but when you do a page, you get similar people that come to visit you. When other people do a show, so these are becoming destinations, right? And so it doesn't feel like a community because of the technological nuance of it, and we're still getting to know each other in different ways, but it is a destination, Magic, and you know, you and others have been a part of creating that. Just wanted to throw that out there, that the seedings of a community is there. They're emerging.
Absolutely. I know Georgia is Creole, but I am so inspired by Creole people. But I never feel right to like claim it because I'm not part of that culture. I've never been to Louisiana, but I'm super inspired by them. Some of my kids, like names, were inspired by them, you know, and I'm inspired by the food. Like I want to introduce my, because I think they have some of the best food in America, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. So
Well,
that's like
New
the
Orleans, yeah.
food culture. Yeah, the food culture is amazing. So I cook a lot of like the Creole food. I'm very inspired by like the Creole culture. So I do want to
Yeah.
experience that though. I want to go down there and like
No,
experience this
it's
real life
definitely,
sense of community, right?
yeah, it's definitely worth a trip. You know, it's worth a trip. New Orleans itself is just a blast. You know, French Quarter, the aesthetics, the old French architecture, the food is beautiful. I think the disposition of the people, even if they're tourists, is one of laid back. You know, it's more of let's have a good time, right? There isn't this purse clutching dynamic that I didn't experience that. And then there's undertones of le français in Spanish, and so it's definitely a vibe. Um, I will say this one thing that my family started doing was we started doing Creole Christmas. We do a traditional
Oh, I
Thanksgiving
love
fare,
that.
but
Oh,
we do a Creole Christmas, and then we divvy out a dish by all the kids. So one of them got gumbo, one of them got etouffee, one of them got red beans and rice. One of them has um, jambalaya, right? And so it gives them a chance to cook. It gives them a chance to touch their Creole side, and at the same time, it kind of mixes it up. So if that's in you, even if you're not connected to Creoleness,
I love that. Yeah, I want to
inevitably
learn
you'll
more
be
about
associated
that.
with it. Yeah,
I would love to
inevitably.
do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely. So it's how do you guys feel about like non-Creole people like us like adopting like Creole? Because I know that is it like a gate kept thing? Like it's like gate kept, Is it like, or would it be cool if like I do want to adopt more of the culture within my life, like the Creole Christmas and stuff like that? Like, you think that would be like, I don't know. I think with the whole cultural appropriation thing. I know that a lot of people, some people believe in that, some people don't. But I just want to ask
Yeah,
you
I
guys what you
wouldn't.
guys think.
I wouldn't claim Creole unless you have family that are Creole, right?
Mhm.
So I wouldn't do that. But I will say that
Yeah, I
New
don't claim it.
Orleans, I would say that
Oh.
New Orleans is complex enough to be have a sense of home if you're biracial or light skinned just because of its history, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think I think you're taking on some of the cuisine of New Orleans, which this folks could argue, but what the hell is the headquarters of biracial mulatto and this Creole and this if it's not New Orleans, right? And so I would claim some of the cuisine of it and integrate that into your family. And the one thing, whatever y'all become, I gotta believe some jambalaya, gumbo, and etouffee is gonna be a part of it. So
Okay, because they're like, I don't know, I like literally like 1%. I'm French. Like I don't really claim. I would never claim to be something I'm not. I'm really big on that, but I'm like, I do believe in like, parts like adopting some positive aspects of the culture, like the Creole Christmas. Like that's something that I would love to do. Like to I would love that. But do you think that here's another question that popped in my mind because that's like you said, Georgia said they're like triracial. They're like but mostly like French and black, right? Because like they were the Haitians that came over and it mixed with the the French people, right? So that's like that's how I think of Creole people, like the French and black people, and then like Italian, like they're black and Italian, like they have their own culture in a way, right? And
hmm
then I'm black and Irish, so I'm like, where's the black and Irish culture people? What are they
hmm
doing?
hmm
What
yeah,
are
yeah,
they doing?
yeah.
Hello.
My dad was from New Orleans. He then moved to Gary, and then
Mm-hmm.
he became in the Air Force. And so, as his child, I certainly could have claimed a Creoleness by birth heritage, but you
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about even less presence. Here I was biracial among mixed communities. Very few percentages of biracial kids trying to figure out life. Let alone was I willing to declare mulatto. Let alone was I willing to declare Creole. Creole was something I visited when I went to New
Mm-hmm.
Orleans. Although now my kids, are certainly more curious about that world. But I think
Mm-hmm.
Millennial makes a great point here. I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
find any gatekeeping, within the New Orleans community. In fact, they were more concerned about hospitality, embrace, telling stories, cuisine, fun times, Zydeco, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I probably need to do a better job of understanding because I always got confused between Cajun and Creole.
Oh
Cajun was
yeah.
French speaking white folks, and Creole were French, and there was some element of Santo Domingo, Haiti there, and so it was always interesting
Mm-hmm.
to me.
There is a
But
difference. I learned that
yeah,
too. I didn't know. Yeah, it's like the
yeah,
yeah.
but I just coincidentally, my mother is from France. She's French speaking. My father is he's Creole black, but he's also speaks French. So I mean, we couldn't be any more quintessential, stereotypical. That's probably not the best word, Creole. And so it was just kind of like a fish in water, and so it wasn't something that I had immersed myself because I was really, quite frankly, just struggling with identity that was rigidly black white, and let alone sort of ethnically Creole, if that makes sense. All
Oh,
right, let's see what's in the boxes, and then I have one last question for you, and then we'll see what people are doing. Fair enough.
yeah, it's been fun talking to you. I didn't know your dad was Creole. I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a
Love
Creole,
that.
French talking, smack talking black man by way of Gary. He's a trip. Love him to death. Hello, all. Thunder's in the house. Thunder might know about Creole. Yes, the history makes a difference. We have a little Sicily in New Orleans, right? So Abby has some Italiana, Sicily. Sicilians were sort of the darker people of Italy. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Oh, that's you talking. All right. One of my fathers was a white Cajun Frenchman. Yeah, they're a little different. The dialect and vernacular is different from Louisiana Creole, right? Catch those alligator shows. You can see them in full effect. Yes, it does depend on location to expose yourself comfortably, right? I gave
Yeah,
them. Okay, so Abby, y'all go check out
she
Abby's
did. Look,
channel.
Abby, she did a panel. Did you ever watch the panel about the Feast of All Saints?
Mm-mm.
That was a good movie, man. Oh my god, it's about the Louisiana Creole people and how they came over from Haiti and how they were fleeing from the war, and it was a great movie. Yeah, she really did teach me a lot of history about Haiti and how that's like mulatto's starting point basically in America is when they came over from the mulatto people came over from Haiti and colonized, not colonized, I don't know what the word is, but gathered here and like created the New Orleans community for and started the whole Creole culture, right? That
Mm-hmm.
came from, yeah. So she did teach me about that. Shout out to Abby. Watch her channels on that. You should definitely
Watch.
she taught me about the Feast of All Saints. I think that was a great movie. I think you should watch that. It's like an all biracial cast. It's like the only movie I've ever seen that was like
Yep.
all biracial people. It was about the quadroon. What was that? The quadroon balls and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was really
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
So you all check out Abby's page. In fact, if y'all have channels, feel free to drop them in here. You have my permission to do that. But the Feast of All Saints. So check out Abby's video on that, and then also the movie. So my last question before we'll see if anyone else wants to process a bit. Thank you guys for joining in. Appreciate you. We're just vibing on a Friday, and I'm looking to talk with parents. And then millennial. I also do a segment on future parents. So maybe we'll get you up for that one day.
Oh, that's a
Let's
good
see what we
topic.
get. Yeah, I get with all my cultures for sure. The Louis Creoles lost much of everything during 1803. Louisiana purchased Cajun lost theirs in the early 20th century, right? All right. One thing that was important for me is that my children felt comfortable in black spaces, and one of the ways in which I attempted to facilitate that was through haircuts and shoes. If that sounds ridiculous, but does that cross you and your husband's minds, like a particular hairstyle, a particular fashion set? Does that does that even enter into y'all's conversations?
No, I never even thought about that. You know what's funny? My mom did not do that. She did not make me because I was raised like an all white area. But then when I was 16, I moved to an all black area. And that's how I kind of got comfortable being around that environment. But I do want to, you know what I want to do? I want
What?
to make sure that my kid, because we have a lot of like kinfolk and people from Atlanta. That's an all black environment. So I do want to make sure we take them down there so they can be, because that's where they are born. They're all born in Georgia, right? So I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that those were people who were supporting me through their early pregnancy, through when they were little kids. And I moved here, yeah, they were helping everything. So they were in an all black environment in the early childhood, right? And then we moved up
Mm-hmm.
here. But I
Mm-hmm.
do want to make sure they're immersed in that environment to know that, to understand that side of them, to love that side of them, to appreciate and have like, the good, the bad, ugly, and just love and accept it all and just be proud of it, right? So I think that's a great point. Making
Yeah,
sure they're
yeah.
comfortable. That's an important topic for biracial people because it's easy to like, they're all white. That's what happened to me. It was an all white area. I didn't really know nothing about blackness or black culture or nothing. And it was awkward. I was like a weird, awkward kid. But then I got immersed into black culture and black environment. And it made me feel really whole and healthy and balanced within myself. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is part of myself that I love and embrace, and that it's very important. It's important that you have that, right?
Yeah, yeah. My last thoughts on that subject is, among your peer group, which is a very important group for any age set across any race and culture, there's a certain fashion and there's a certain hierarchy to it. And I'm not saying it ought to be like this, but as parents, if we can be attuned to it and be mindful of how we send our kids out the house just so they can hold their own. I remember my mother, who was very European in her worldview and how she dressed me,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't wear jeans until my friend let me borrow his jeans in the eighth grade. So I was wearing
Oh
slacks.
wow.
I was wearing slacks
That's
and
so
polo shirts.
cute.
No, I was an oddball. I was a
That's cute. You
walking
know that.
target for teasing.
But when I was, it's funny, when I was in Georgia, they had like the whole, it was called black boy, white boy swag, where they would like all
Yeah,
dress in polo, and
yeah.
it was like the swag at the time. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
cute. Like everybody wearing polos, and it was cute. So it's like
Well,
that became.
this
Hmm.
Malala, this was not cute. I was an oddball, and it was a seminal turning moment for me in terms of at least a beginning of sort of a sense of cultural flavor. Is that I was sitting in my slacks and we were going to a dance, and my boy's older brother said, "Man, what's wrong with your gear?" And he must have had some kind of, he took a liking to me, kind of a big bro liking, and he said, "Man, put these jeans on, right?" And then in it, brother didn't want to be too silly with it. He said, "Oh, what now? You need a shirt? All right, well here, take this shirt, right?" So he was acting like he was irritated by it. But by the time I walked out of there, I had on his jeans, a pair of his shoes, and an appropriate shirt. But
You had
all of a
that
sudden, I
drip.
began to fit in. I had drip. Damn, I had drip, right? And then one of my middle school teachers said, "Man, you got to do something about your hairdo, man." And so he literally brought a woman to my house, and she gave me my first shag. And so now all of a sudden,
Hmm.
my clothes game was looking right. I was dripping. I had my shag, which was a hairstyle back in the day. And I tell you, man, I tell you, Mulata, I felt, I felt good, man. I felt real
Yeah.
good. And so I say that because I've never seen your children. This is not toward your children, but I've seen many mulatto biracial kids whose parents just didn't take them to the barber shop, and they got these odd cuts, and they got off-brand kind of stuff. I'm not into people's economics, but
Hmm.
give your babies a peer swag management chance.
I
Be consider.
totally relate to
Go ahead.
that.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, I cut you off. But yeah,
No, go ahead. No,
no,
you go
finish
ahead.
what you're saying. Finish what you're saying.
But yeah, just give them a chance, man. And there's three simple things: understand what the fashion is, take them to a black barber, assuming their hair is, has certain texture to it, and then think about their shoe game. We're an Adidas family. I have accounts with them, and so man, I lace my kids with Adidas. And then so when they went to school and they were showing up with a new pair of Adidas almost every week, and they were the boys had the same shoe size, so they were switching and flipping. Man, it just made a world of difference in terms of their popularity and those kind of things and their sense of self and comfort. That's silly and trivial, but what do kids have as a way of sort of establishing themselves? Right? They got their mouthpiece. They got and they got how they present, and kids can pick up on confidence or lack thereof. So just a little musings there. Last words are yours, Malata. If you have any questions, feel free to
I
ask me.
totally I just I totally relate to that because I grew up in a white area, and white people got like different body types. Like I got kind of like a big butt basically. So I didn't know how to like dress the jeans didn't fit right, like everything, and I didn't know how to do my hair or anything. Even though my mom's black, but she was busy working. She was working three jobs. Like she
Mm-hmm.
was working, she didn't have time really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, around that like the teenage age, and then I moved to Atlanta, and it's like people helping me with like not because I know how to like actually yeah people helping me learn like different hairstyles and like dressing like clothes that fit my body type. Like there was like different clothes available that made my my body type look good, and it wasn't like you know weird. So yeah, I definitely relate to that. Like as for the female side, on the female side,
Mm-hmm.
right, as a
Mm-hmm.
biracial, like having like clothes that complement your skin tone, and having cute hair. There's so much like information out there, like simple cute hairstyles you could do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
gel is everything. Okay, gel, put some gel.
Right. Right.
Gel is everything. And yeah, I do
Powerful.
think that cute dresses and things that match your things that work with your body type. Because I know I have a different body type. I'm more thicker. I'm like a little thick. So
Yeah,
yeah, just things that go with your body type that versus like a white girl's body type. You know.
yep.
So yeah. Mhm.
One thing is, mothers and fathers, your kids are gonna they're gonna express frustration. My daughter in particular was always frustrated with, she went through a tomboy phase. She went from a lot of athletic gear phase, being an athlete, and she tried some dresses, right? But I still think she's trying to figure out her style, and there's angst associated with that. When her and her mother
Mhm.
kind of are online shopping or in the store, to, that's too revealing, whatever the case may be. So it's very important for boys, but also
Mhm.
especially for girls. So
Oh
take the
yeah.
time to sort of meet them halfway, and their presence, their appearance is so important at a particular young age. And then Abby is co-signing. She said she was 13 years old, looking like the 40s and 50s. Yeah, that's like me and my damn slacks. Beautiful. Malad, I want to thank you for coming up. Truly
It's been
appreciate you.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
truly
so been
appreciate you
fun.
sharing. Anything you
Mhm.
want to share or ask?
Oh, I'm gonna ask that last point about like style. Yeah, I used to struggle with that so much. It was like, oh, the style thing. But yeah, I just like to keep it simple, something that makes you feel good. Like I like flowy like dresses and cute like feminine stuff. That's kind of because I used to be a tomboy too. I was a big tomboy as well, right? But then I found like kind of like my style, and then it's kind of like an intuitive thing too. It's like I know what looks good on me. When you know what looks good on you, that's what you go for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just gotta
Mm-hmm.
find what looks good on you and just stick to that. Like I just like dresses and like bodcon dresses because I got curves and a big butt, and so it's kind of what I stick to. So that's what I go to.
Hey,
So yeah, so whatever makes you look good, you're gonna go for it. It makes you feel good. So that's mine. That's my advice. I'm
hey,
not a big
and
Abby's more the fashion type. I'm more like I'm not the big fashion. I love like just looking good like every other woman, but you know, Abby's the big fashion type. But
well,
yeah,
well,
shout out
well,
to her. Shout out to everybody in here. It was been a fun combo. Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
no, I was just going to transition to say, advice from Magic is find what makes you feel good, what might make you get a few compliments here and there, just feeling good in your body and your body type. So excellent, excellent words, Milana. Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a wonderful night, everybody. It's been fun. Good. Happy
All right.
Friday, everybody. Bye.
Happy Friday vibing. Appreciate you. All right.
Bye.
So let me answer the questions here. We are in the closing stages. We're right at about an hour. I want to thank y'all for rolling with me. If you are a mom or a dad that's kind of looking in, hey, you seen the style. It's not a gotcha. It's not a trick you up kind of deal. It's truly acknowledging that more and more beautiful people are having biracial kids. And if you are monoracial, well, you would be monoracial if you're having biracial kids. You don't have that lived experience. And so here's a community of folks who are biracial and have lived the life, and they have some wonderful experiences, and perhaps they have some challenges. But most importantly, what can you as new parents or older parents learn from them or take away from it? So Abby's asking, what is your mix, AJ? And then your mom and dad's country identity. So my mother's from France, literally born in Rouen, a little outside of Paris. She is French, and they met in the '60s when my dad graduated from high school in '62, and his first assignment in the Air Force was France. Hell of an assignment. And a part of their experience is they would get passes and they would go into town and they would hit the night scene and the social scene. And my dad is a handsome cat. He was a dancer. They call him Boga, which means handsome man in French. And he caught the eye of a very striking brunette in my mother. My mother appears almost Arabic. Her father, my grandfather, was from Algeria, and she was a dancer and she loved to party and socialize. And they met and hit it off and got married, and then came back here, I think around '66, and then I was born in '68. But my dad is a typical black story. He's, as far as he knows, he was born in America. There is some ancestral heritage back to Santo Domingo, but as we know from the involuntary slave trade process, a lot of that heritage was lost. But for the most part, his sense of identity is a Creole cat in New Orleans who then moves to Gary, Indiana, is raised in a culturated black, and then just has a curiosity about the world and was able to meet that through the Air Force, of which you move every 3 to 4 years. And then we did that. And so a part of our journey was different states, but also some time in Italy. And that was very formative for me, but it also put me in close proximity, just a train ride away from Paris, from France. And so I had a chance in formidable years to literally spend time with my French side. And it's certainly, like many of you, shaped my worldview and underscores the importance of not only travel, but also physically connecting with both your heritages. America will teach you something about blackness, but a lot of times the white side or the Japanese side, whatever that is, if you're third, fourth generation American, you know about that intellectually, but perhaps you don't know about it physically or literally. And so some recommendations to parents is, if your child is black and your mother's white and she's from, hell, I don't know, France, Italy, Norway, whatever the case may be, if you can take your biracial kid to go to a country of origin, that will be another identity affirming, rooting kind of experience that affirms the duality that is them. All right. We are not our parents, so it's our experience. Oh, boom, that's science. France, so much art, music, and culture going to France, right? It's a common link. Military exposes people to the world. Cool. Exactly. All right. Beautiful folks, I want to thank you for joining in. If you have any questions or comments, I'm going to put my email up here. But I will say this. If y'all send me an email, please ask a question. I'm getting emails that are, people stating their opinion on the subject, but it's not asking a question. I just, excuse me, just got a pretty long email from a person who was advocating for biracialness, which is fine, but it was just kind of making statements. And I'm like, all right, cool. But if you're going to hit me up, I guess you're just educating me. That's fine as well. But if you send me an email, ask a question or something I can respond to. All right. Go visit and give a sense of pride on that side too. Absolutely. Beautiful folks joining in. Thank you guys so much. This was a Friday vibe. If you found value in it, hey, please give us a subscription, like the video, share if that makes sense in your world, but also, in your peer group, indirectly, subtly, or randomly. If you see a parent of a child or a biracial child, mulatto child, whatever the case may be, and you think they could contribute to the conversation or have some questions or things they just want to vet with people of different age sets who have parenting experience or are children and are children of interracial relationships, that's a part of community building. And as Millennial talked about, he has aspirations to be a parent. And so to hear conversations prior to becoming a parent can only help the parent journey. All right. Always a pleasure, AJ. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up with Abby NYC, the Mulatto Mafia family. All right. On behalf of J4 Conversations, love, love, love.